Good day. I'm Christopher Denny. I am the son of Dorothy Denny. Um, Dorothy Denny, my mother, and Aunt Thelma, who is Gail's mother, are cousins. So we are like second cousins. And in those days, I mean, it's amazing the way we grew up, the Jamaica that we grew up in. Even second cousins were very close and spent a lot of time together. As children, I mean, the Chevannes family would have been six of them, six of us. That made 12. We had other cousins that would come together regularly. From I know myself, that had been the situation for quite a while until a little later on. That was the rich family upbringing that we had. And that's how we got to know the Chevannes family, and how we got to know Gail. I remember Gail and Shelley being these hot girls that went to Alpha. I remember they were in their Alpha uniforms, much older than me, of course, and we respected them because they're older, they're elders to us. And by that, I don't mean too old now. What I mean by that is that they were just a little older than us. And I celebrate every one of my cousins, my second cousins, if you will, in the Chevannes family. You know, the story could be told about how these two unions happened. My father got married to my mother, obviously, but they met when Uncle Walter and my father, who were friends in high school at Calabar, went to visit. I'm not sure if it was my mother or Aunt Thelma, but one brethren introduced the other brethren, and they both got married to these two ladies. I don't know who did the introduction, who met who first, but that is my understanding, because Uncle Walter and my father went to school together. So the families are very close. I write on behalf of my siblings and myself, obviously, right? And it is an honor to get this opportunity to speak to share my tribute on Karen Gail Chevannes, our cousin. We had a very wonderful childhood, and a little after the time that I shared with you, the Chevannes family moved away to New York at first. And a little later, in 1987, I found myself spending the summer with them. I was in fact trying to get away from my father, and I reconnected with them at that time. And I remember I made the mistake of expressing my labor right views. A labor right is a person that aligns with a particular political party in Jamaica. The Americans may describe them as being more conservative. Well, Gail certainly schooled me on the history and the facts and figures of politics. And ever since those debates that I had with her that summer, I've been more centered in my political views. So thank you very much for that, Gail. You've definitely politically improved. Another thing that I remember about Gail was how welcoming she was. The entire Chevannes family, they were very, very welcoming. I remember in that same summer, having spent the entire summer with them, I saw how they impacted the lives of many youths around them who I think otherwise would have been wayward. They invited them in particular young men and young ladies too. They invited them in, they coached them, they tried to encourage them to do the right thing in life, get a further education. My cousin Jackie would have been a big beneficiary of that. And then I'm sorry, we lost Jackie recently as well. And my cousin Louis, my brother Louis himself, who had a rough time of it when he moved to New York. And we lost contact with him in our family. We didn't know where he was for a while. But Gail always knew where he was, because she always kept her door open. She always reached out with love and affection and kept him in good counsel. And with that, and the entire Chevannes family too, Louis would say that that was the only home he felt welcomed in those days. And so we thank the Chevannes for that, and we thank Gail for that in particular, because she was at the forefront of this kind of outreach where she's always reaching out to help people in her community. I have to mention, when I think of Gail, Rashid. I remember Rashid being a little boy at the time. I think he was maybe 8 or 9. Cute as a button, wonderful, just a spark of energy. She encouraged him to be engaging. she encouraged him to pursue his curiosities. And I remember he used to have a way to start a conversation where he would say, "Why you have to wear that shirt?" You know, and he would kind of turn and say, "Why you have to wear that shirt?" And he would point. And he would say, when you're in a crowd of people, all of a sudden you move from being unnoticed to having to defend the clothes that you're wearing. And it made for good laughs. Rashid, you know, speaking out to you in person, my condolences on the passing of your mother. I hope you remember the Steel Pulse music lessons that we had together back in the summer of '87. And I extend my condolences to you and offer you comfort in this difficult time. Now, in more recent times, I have to mention the impact that Gail has had on my life since we lost our mother. And I think she has been reaching out to others. I don't know everybody's business. But I know that since we lost Mommy in January of 2022, which is just 2 years ago now, the wound is still fresh and it is still painful. She would call me every now and again because she knew I was hurting. And she would open up herself to me to allow me to share the difficulties I'm having. And she gave me good counsel. And very importantly, she reminded me of God's salvation and God's plan for us, and that we should keep God in our lives. You know, we knew that Gail had become ill a little while back, but I personally thought that she was just stronger than life and that nothing could stop her. But the Lord thought better of it, and He wanted her at His side, and so she's gone now from us, and we're left to find what is the meaning. You know, what is the meaning of her life? I find out one of the things about a loss like this and our coming together to look at and to celebrate the life of Karen Gail Chevannes.